Oh yeah, it is time to start another week of school. Week 5, boys and girls, and we are doing it. We are making it through this coronavirus, and we are still learning the whole time. So, congratulations. I'm very proud of you. Let's keep it going this week. So, now that we've gotten pumped up with a little AC/DC, let's watch one of our very own students try to hit a golf ball. Nice, Wiley. That was a great drive. Oh no! Hole in one! That's funny. Thank you, Wiley, for sharing. That was that brought back some really good memories for me. I used to love driving golf balls. I'm a little bit curious about that house in the distance. Hopefully, that house is further than what it looks, because it's probably not a good idea to be driving golf balls at your neighbors. That's not how you make friends. But thank you, Wiley. That was awesome. It's great to see you. Let's let's look at some common sense today, okay? So, um, I don't know why my screen. Here we go. It's working again. So, today's common sense lesson: if you are in a vehicle during a storm, it's important that you're extra quiet so that the driver can concentrate. All right. So, in general, when you're in the car, especially with your brothers and sisters, mom or dad you're driving, it's really important that you let them focus on the road, okay? But whenever there's something that makes driving even harder, like a storm, it is incredibly important that you and your brothers or sisters just cool it for a little bit. And you can always fight more later, but for the sake of your safety and your parents, just be extra quiet. Don't cause any problems. Don't be needy. Don't be asking for things. Just sit there and let your parents get you home or where you need to go safely, okay? So, those are words of wisdom to keep you alive as long as possible. All right. So, I'm curious. Oh, there we go. I'm still rolling. Okay. I am curious about whether or not you um, have heard of the story of Daedalus and Icarus. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But today I thought I like to have story time on Mondays, so I decided I was going to tell you two different legends, all right? Two stories. One is Greek mythology and one is from the Bible, okay? So the first story, Daedalus and Icarus, is quite a popular story, and maybe you don't know that you've heard it, but once we start going, maybe you'll remember. Oh yeah, I've heard that before. So the story goes like this. Daedalus was a very famous engineer. He designed buildings. In particular, he designed this thing called the labyrinth. I think that's how you spell it. And he designed it for a king named King Minos, not to be confused with King Midas, the golden one. This was different. King Minos or Minos. He was the king of this island in Greece called Crete. All right, so Daedalus builds King Minos this crazy prison called a labyrinth. Now, picture a maze, like one of these where you have you might start there and go there, and then there's a dead end, so you have to go this way, and there's another dead end, and eventually it'll take you all the way out to an exit. You know what I'm talking about? Well, that's what Daedalus built for King Minos, okay? He built him this really, really crazy maze. Now, the point of building the maze was to serve as a prison. So, when King Minos had prisoners, he could put them in the labyrinth and they would never ever escape. Also, King Minos was afraid of the Minotaur. You remember the Minotaur was like the bull with the head of a bull and the body of a human. So King Minos also thought that he could defend himself from the Minotaur by putting the Minotaur into the labyrinth. Okay, so you might be wondering, well, Mr. R, you've told me about all these characters. What does that have to do with anything? Well, Daedalus, after building the labyrinth, did something to upset King Minos. And the king was really angry at Daedalus. And so the king put Daedalus into the labyrinth, into the maze. And Daedalus had a son named Icarus. And so Icarus had to go with his father into the labyrinth. Alright? So, oh no, they're in prison, basically. That's what the labyrinth was a prison maze. And Daedalus, the one who created his own prison, basically, knew that there was no way that they would ever escape, ever. So Daedalus did something because he knew that he couldn't let his son die in the labyrinth with him. So what did Daedalus do? Well, he built his son. This is Icarus. He built his son Icarus wings out of feathers. And Icarus, being a young man, was told specifically by his dad, do not fly too high, Icarus. If you fly too high, you will melt the wax that I used to build your wings off, and you will die. So, Daedalus gave his son Icarus the wings. He used wax, glued them on his back, and for the first time in human history, according to the myth, man flew. Now, Icarus, being a very bold, stubborn, some might say stupid young man, once he started to fly and he escaped the prison, he started getting a little bit too cocky, a little bit brazen, if you want to use a big vocabulary word. And what do you think Icarus did? Yes, you guessed it. He forgot completely about what his father said. He's having too much fun, and he started to fly higher and higher. Look at me, I'm invincible, I can fly, Icarus said. And guess what happened? Yes, the sun, that big ball of heat, light, ended up melting the wax off the wings that connected it to Icarus, and Icarus's wings fell off. And Icarus, being way up high, ended up falling up from very high in the sky, ended up falling into the sea and drowning. Now, Icarus flew too high. He tried to touch the sun, and it cost him his life. That's the end of the story. The message, the lesson of Daedalus and Icarus is really simple. Sometimes it's important for us to listen and follow directions. Even if we think that something is fun, or if we think that we have power, if we abuse it, if we take things too far, ultimately we will pay the price. Okay? Icarus had a good thing going. He was free, he had wings, he could fly, but he took things too far. He flew too close to the sun, and it cost him. In fact, we even say that expression a lot. Don't fly too close to the sun. That's referring to this story, boys and girls. It's referring to Icarus. So, in the classroom, you know how much I love to have fun and be silly, right? You have fun and you're silly with me all the time, all this school year. That's great. But whenever it's time to get serious, it's important that you get serious. Don't take things too far like Icarus. Don't fly too close to the sun. Same thing at home with your parents, right? Having a good time with mom or dad, maybe with brother or sister. But taking things too far can lead to a lot of trouble and a lot of heartache, and it can even sometimes lead to pain. Okay? Think about it. Has there ever been a time where you were having fun with your brother or sister or with a friend and they took things too far? Don't be an Icarus, all right? Listen. Good things will happen to you, okay? All right. So, I love that story, even though I feel bad for Icarus. Actually, I don't feel bad. He should have listened to his dad. Let's talk about another story, all right? I love story time. So, last week I taught you about Paul Bunyan, and I also think I talked about the Good Samaritan, right? The story of the guy that got beat up, and all these people passed him and didn't help him except for the person who was supposed to be his enemy, and he stopped and he took care of him. The whole point was to love your neighbor. Well, today we're going to read a story about it's told by the same person, by Jesus. This is a very famous story too. There's a lot of references to it as you get older. It's called the Prodigal Son. Okay, so I'm gonna do my best to tell it to you in a way that I think you'll understand as a third grader. Okay, I challenge you to maybe open up the Bible and read the story yourself, or to even ask your mom or dad, because there's a lot to learn, and this is a story that I've heard at least 100 times in my life. Okay, so the prodigal son starts off like this. There is a dad. Let's see. He's got two sons. Oh, kind of messed up that, guys. So the father and his two sons are the characters in this story, and the let's just say, I'll give him a red baseball cap. He can have a green baseball cap. Okay, so the younger brother, who has a red baseball cap, goes to his father, who is a very wealthy man. His dad has, he's well established. He's got servants who work for him. He's got a big old farm, a nice house. And this guy, younger brother, he says to his dad, "Hey, Dad, I know that I'm supposed to wait until you die to have my inheritance, but can I have mine now?" So let me rewind for a second. An inheritance is money that your parents leave you if they were to die. Okay? Now, back then, during this time, that was really common for parents to leave their kids either money or land or animals. So, what does the dad say? Well, the dad says, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want it now? You're still pretty young." And he's like, "Yes, yes, yes, give it to me. I want it now. I want it now." So the dad gives him a big bag of money. Ching. And what do you think the son does? Well, the son leaves. He totally leaves the family and goes to a faraway land, and he thinks everything's great. Woo-hoo. He's spending money, woo, throwing coins in the air. Well, pretty soon, younger brother spends all of his money that his dad gave him, and is completely broke. Well, guess what? Bad timing. As soon as he loses all his money, a terrible, terrible famine hits. Now, a famine is when there's no food. So, younger brother, who lost all money, now is starving. He doesn't have enough money for clothes anymore. He doesn't have enough money barely for food. He's forced to live in a pigsty with the pigs. Sorry, that's a terrible pig, but he is no longer smiling. Life is very hard for this son. Well, guess what? After some time living with the pigs, eating slop, he realizes he made a huge, huge mistake. So he swallows his pride, he says bye to the pigs, and he comes back to his dad. And he sees his father, and mind you, brother's over here. Brother's out in the field, the older brother. He sees his father, and he says, "Dad, I am so sorry. What I did was so stupid. I have shamed you. I have wasted all that you've given me, and I'm so terribly sorry." Now, what do you think how do you think he reacted? Think about it. He gave his son lots of money, and his son immediately left, didn't even say goodbye, and went and spent it all. And he hadn't heard from him for years. How do you think the dad felt? Well, you'd think that the dad would feel angry, maybe even so mad that he wouldn't even say, "Welcome the son back," right? Say, "Get away, I don't even know you, you're not my son anymore." See, that's what you might think. But the way Jesus tells the story, the dad actually reacts completely differently. The dad hears his son apologize, sees his son for the first time, and he starts to cry. Not tears of sadness, but tears of joy. He takes his son, he gives him a big hug, and he says, oh, let me undo, I used the wrong size eraser. And he says, son, I love you. It's okay you wasted all my money, because what's important is that you are back here with us. The father orders his servants to go get the fattest pig and butcher it so that they can have a huge feast and to invite everyone to come to celebrate. So, at the end of the day, older brother comes in from the field, and older brother says, what is this? What's going on? He's very concerned. Why is everyone preparing for a party? He hears about the fact that his brother comes home, and he goes straight to his dad and he says, Dad, what are you doing? My brother just totally wasted all your money. He didn't care at all about us. He just left, never told us where he was. We thought he was dead, and he comes home and you're throwing him a party? Meanwhile, I've done everything that you've ever asked me, Dad. I've been a really good son. I work in the fields to help out the family. And never once have you even offered to slaughter a goat and throw me a little party. But now my brother comes home and you're giving him this huge party? See, boys and girls, maybe some of you can relate to this brother. Maybe some of you can relate to the fact that you're always doing the right thing, and maybe your younger brother or younger sister doesn't, but yet you don't get treated as nicely as them. I'm sure there's some of you that are shaking your head, yes. I know for me, I can relate a lot to this guy. Well, back to our story. The dad puts his hand on his son's shoulder and he says, look, what's mine is yours. You have done everything I've ever asked you to. But your brother, who we thought was dead, is alive. It is a time to celebrate, for what was lost is now found. That's the end of the story, by the way. This story has two lessons. It's got a lesson for the younger brother. Maybe some of you can relate to this guy. And it's got a lesson for the older brother. Let's start with the younger brother's lesson. The little brother who took all the money and blew it and totally left his family and didn't say anything. What do you think his lesson is? Well, it's pretty simple. His lesson is pretty much to be responsible, respect family, respect your parents, especially. He's got all your classic lessons of don't be an idiot, right? He's the definition of a loser. He wastes all this money. He's literally stuck living with pigs, right? You can learn a lot from him. Now the harder lesson, and this is the one that I'm struggle with. What's the lesson that the father teaches the older son, the one who didn't waste money, the one that actually worked really hard and was really good? Well, I think the lesson for the older child is not to judge those who have made mistakes. The older brother needs to learn that even though his younger brother was an idiot, it's not his place to judge. The older brother needs to learn that there are more important things than just doing the right thing, like family. And so even though his little brother was an idiot, a turd, slept with pigs, the older brother needs to be humble and needs to recognize that, yeah, even though he's stupid, he's still my brother and I still love him, and I should be really grateful that he's not dead. There are more important things, right? Okay, so that's story time for today. The story of Daedalus and Icarus. Remember, don't fly too close to the sun. And the story of the prodigal son, right? Forgiving your brothers, forgiving each other, right? Loving each other, loving those who have made mistakes, who have sinned. What's most important is that you have each other, and they, in times of need, you're able to, like right now with the coronavirus, in times where there might not be a lot of good, it's remembering that love conquers all. Okay? So let's move on here to some 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication. So to warm things up with, we're all going to do this problem together, and then I'm going to give you a couple challenge problems for those of you that have already kind of mastered this. So 37 times 21. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to break this problem down into 2 separate problems, right? So you don't have to do this on your paper, but I'm just going to do it on mine. I'm just going to cross off one of my digits, and I'm just going to focus right there on 37 times 1. So let's do it. 1 times 7, 1 times 3. So now I can block my other digit. So now it's 37 times, and don't say 2, it's 37 times 20. Remember, this is like there's like a hidden 0 right there. So the first thing that we need to do down here is put a 0, because we're multiplying by 20, not 2. Okay, now let's start with the ones. 2 times 7 is good, 14. Carry your 1. You're going to add that 1 onto the end of 2 times 3. So what is 2 times 3? Good. 6 plus 1 is 7. All right, now this is your ones product. This is your tens product. If you just take both these numbers and add them up, you're going to have your total. So what is 7 plus 0? Good. 3 plus 4? Good. And nothing plus 7. What an amazing number right there. 777. I love it. Okay. So that was our warm-up. Let's do another one. Let's do 61 times 48. And then for those of you that want a harder one, let's do 209 times 67. Okay, so let's start with the problem on the left. For those of you that are still wanting the regular 2-digit by 2-digit problem, for those of you that already know how to do it, feel free to work on this one right now, okay? The rest of you, let's look at it. 61 times 48. Well, step 1 would be to multiply 61 times 8. So let's do that. 61 times 8. Well, 1 times 8 is 8. 8 times 6 is, think about it, 6 and 8 went on a date, 19. Good, 48. Okay. Now I've multiplied my 8. I can move on to my 4. Now, what place value is that 4 in? The tens, right? So what's that 4 worth? It's not worth 4, it's worth 40. So it's actually a 0 in my ones, so I put a 0 down here in my ones. Does that make sense? Now let's multiply. 4 times 1, 4 times 6 is, good, 24. Now we have to take these two numbers, we've got to add them up. See how I keep them in nice, neat columns? See, like this? I have a column for each place value. It's really easy for me now to add them. So 8 plus 0 is, 8 plus 4 is, good, 12, carry 1. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 1 makes, and nothing plus 2. Okay. Comma at the end, since we're all done. Count 1, 2, 3 place values from the right, and you get 2,928. Well done. Okay. I'm going to speed do the last problem here, the challenge problem. So I'm going to start by doing this 7 times 9 times 0 and times the 2, okay? So let's do it. 7 times 9 is 63, carry my 6. 7 times 0 is 0, plus my 6. What's 0 plus 6? Good. 7 times 2 is 14, and since there's nowhere to go with that 1, I don't need to even put it up there. I can put it down here, my answer. Now, remember, do not put commas yet. Wait till the very end. It'll help you. Okay, so I'm done with my 7. Now I'm on to my 6, but that 6 is actually 60. So I need to put that 0 in my ones, right? Let's do it. Put the 0 in the ones. And now I've got 6 times 9, 54, right? That is 5. 6 times 0 is 0 plus 5. 6 times 2 is 12. Add them up. 3, 10, carry my 1. Look at that, another 10, carry my 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, nothing plus 1. So my answer is 14,003. 14,003, that's a big number. All right, good work, boys and girls. Okay, here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to give you 2 problems, a regular problem and a challenge problem, and then I want you to pause and I want you to try to solve them on your own, and then when you're done, unpause the video and I'll go through them step by step, okay? So the first one is 17 times 16. And then for my challenge problem, people, let's do 489 times 61. Okay, so pause that video and go ahead and solve. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you have an answer. Let's see if you're right. So regular problem first. I'm going to start by multiplying my top number, 17, by my ones place, which is the 6. So let's do it. 17 times 6. I'm going to start by doing 6 times 7 and get 42. 6 times 1, 6 plus 4 makes 10. So I've got 102 as my ones place, so I'm done with my ones. Now I can move on to my tens, which this 1 right here is actually a 10, right? So I'm going to take my 0, put it down here. Now what's 1 times 7? 1 times 1. Simple. Let's add them up. We've got 2 plus 0, 0 plus 7, 1 plus 1, 272. Give yourself a big round of applause if you got that right. Okay. Let's work on our challenge problem. 1 times 9, 1 times 8, and 1 times 4. Well, guess what? Anytime you have a 1 in the ones place, that's really easy. Now, let's focus on our 60. So I'm going to put my 0 right there. And now I'm going to multiply 6 times 9, 6 times 8, and 6 times 4. So 6 times 9 is 54. 6 and 8 make 48, plus 5 makes 53. 6 and 4 make 24, plus 5 makes 29. Let's see how you did. 9, 29,829. Okay, last round. One more. You ready? Same thing as last time. I'm going to give you 2 problems. You pick which one you want to do. The regular one is 42 times 36. Challenge is 2,079 times 43. Pick which one you want to do, pause it, and I'll see you back here in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back. Let's go over these problems, starting with my regular problem on the left. So remember, I'm taking my top and I'm multiplying it by the 6 first. Always start with that ones. So let's do it. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry my 1. 6 times 4 is 24. 24 plus 1 makes 25, right? Okay. Done with my ones. Now I need to multiply by 30. Don't forget, 30 has a 0 in the ones place, so I need a 0 in the ones place down here. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. Great job. Now I just have to put them in the oven. Add them up. 2 plus 0 is 2. 5 plus 6 is 11. 1,512 is what I got. Okay, challenge problem, people. I'm going to go really quick for the sake of time. Let's see if what you got is right. So, alright, and I think I did that right. 7, 9, 3, 89,397. Okay, so there'll be one of these on your Google form afterward. but that's all the time we have for multiplication today. Please grab your Grammar Simple Solutions book, and we are going to go over lesson 118. All right, we'll start with you, Mr. O'Connell. Add one of these suffixes to the root word careful and spell it correctly. Which one of those would make sense? Carefully, carefuling, or carefulness? Good, Jasper, carefully. So go ahead and spell it. C-A-R-E-F-U-L. Double up the L. Very good. Carefully. You need two L's in carefully. All right, Evan. Which adjective could describe a rocket? You could describe rocket as a color. For instance, like a red rocket or a blue rocket. You could describe a rocket as in this type of speed, like this one's a turbo rocket. Whatever you want, Evan. London, how about a lollipop? How are you going to describe a lollipop? Yeah, maybe sticky, right? Juicy, yummy, delicious. Rainbow. Alright, those are adjectives. Good job. Underline two ideas. Circle the subordinating conjunction. So I like to start with this part right here. I like to circle the word that connects my two simple sentences. So Noah watered the garden because the soil was dry. What is my subordinating conjunction? What do you think, Sophie? Noah watered the garden because the soil was dry. Because. Good job, Sophie. Now, it says underline the two ideas. So I'm going to take my green and I'm going to underline the first idea. Noah watered the garden. And then I'm going to take my purple and I'm going to underline the second idea. The soil was dry. And you see how they're connected, as Sophie said, with the word because. Great job. All right, Bobby, you're up. Which one means a person in a book or a story? Character, cause, or evidence? Yeah, good job, Bobby. A character. So let's think of a sentence, Lucas, with the word character in it. How about just knowing you, Lucas? Craig Heffley is my favorite character. Actually, no. I know you, Lucas. You're more like this. Dogman is my favorite character. You love Dogman. Or maybe Misket from Amulet. I know you like that series too. Alright, number 5. Bettina, which one would be the correct form of the verb steal? Hopefully you don't do this. Everyone is taught not to steal or steals from others. Good, Bettina. Just the word steal makes no sense. Good job. Cody. Harry blank the last cookie. I'm telling Mom. Harry steal or Harry steals the last cookie? I know what you're thinking. Can I write Harry stole the last cookie? Well, it wants you to use the present tense. So between steal or steals, which one would you pick, Cody? Harry. Good. Harry steals the last cookie. I'm telling Mom. Good job. All right, moving on. Fish. Pronouns take the place of antecedents. All right, in that example, you see the pronoun them. It takes the place of animals. So I saw the animals and took a picture of the animals. Makes too much sense. Too many words, animals. So they replaced it with them. So let's look at this sentence. We bought groceries and put them in the car. Which word is replacing the word groceries? Good, Peyton. Now draw an arrow from them to the groceries, and you've done it. Good work. All right, doobie doobs. What does the word luster mean in this sentence? The old car had lost its luster. Luster is a word that we use to describe rocks as well. Yeah, if something is lackluster, it means it's lost its shine. Good job, doobie. All right, which adverb compares? So look for a comparing word. Emily. Janine stood closest to the teacher. Sometimes adverbs that compare end in er. Sometimes they end in est. Do you see any of those words, Emily? Yes, you do, right? The closest to the teacher. Closest is our adverb. It describes the verb stood. Where? Closest. Number 9. Choose the best subordinating conjunction to complete each sentence. Willow, you get the first one, all right? Dad insisted we wax the car, blank, it would be in the parade. Did you get since? Because that's what I got. Good work, Miss Parker. Michael, on New Year's Eve, we stayed up blank midnight. Knowing you, Michael, you probably stayed up past midnight, but which one of these, since, unless, or until, would make the most sense? Uh-huh. Until midnight. Good job. All right, so Carson and Wiley. You are my two students who are left. So choose the word that complete the sentence. So Carson and Wiley, you have to figure out which word makes the most sense. You ready? Make sure you measure to the blank of the rectangle. Would you measure to the edge of a rectangle? To the exciting of a rectangle? To the problem of the rectangle? Good work, man. Measure to the edge of the rectangle. Well done, well done, well done. All right, so the last thing that we're going to do today, boys and girls, is we are going to take a break from our geography and we're just going to talk briefly about what we eat, okay? So if you're like me, probably eat a lot of different foods. What are some important foods that you eat almost every single day? I hear fruits. Usually when you think of fruits, you also think about good vegetables. What other important foods do you eat? Yeah, you eat meat. How about, does anyone eat bread? Right? We call those carbohydrates. So fruits, veggies, meat, bread. Anyone eat eggs? Yeah. What else do you guys eat? Dairy, like milk. Kind of drink milk, but you might eat yogurt. So I'm just gonna put like dairy. Whenever whenever you get really hungry, you might eat something, or sorry, after you're done eating a meal, you might eat something that's not necessarily healthy for you. Some kind of dessert, which would include probably something made from the ingredient we all love so much, sugars. So there are all kinds of important foods that you eat almost every single day. Have you ever wondered where these foods come from? I know I do. I like to make sure what I'm putting into my body is going to make my body better and healthier than what it is before I put anything into it, okay? I want to know what I'm taking in, what I'm eating most of the time. Sometimes when I really am craving like a dessert, I don't really care, but it's important that you, as young boys and girls, learn at an early age, what food is made up of and where food comes from and why it's so important to eat healthy. All right, so let's take a look today at where most of our food comes from. All right, most of our food comes from farmers. Farmers are the backbone of America. They are so important. We live in a pretty rural community, which means there's a lot of farming happening in Mercer, which is awesome. But there's a word for farming, okay? It's a word that means the science behind farming. It starts with an A. It's what the ag stands for in ag way. Anyone know? Agriculture Agriculture is what it's called, and it means the science of farming. Believe it or not, it takes a lot of hard work. That part you can probably believe, but it takes a lot of science to be a farmer. All right, knowing what the soil is made up of requires chemistry. Knowing what tools to use requires engineering and physics. And knowing how the weather is going to affect your plants, meteorology, knowing what what type of seed to use, genetic hybridation of certain types of seed that will work better in certain climates. There is a lot of science behind farming, a lot. And sometimes it seems like farmers are, they're covered in dirt. Sometimes they even have like big beards and stuff. A lot of people judge farmers and they have terrible stereotypes and think, hey, that's a dumb farmer because he talks like this. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is definitely a lie. That is what we call a stereotype, and it is not true. A lot of farmers that I have met are brilliant, very intelligent people. So, agriculture, the science behind farming. Well, today we're going to talk about specifically the food that comes from this middle section of the United States. So, if you look here, I'm going to draw an outline. This area of our country is really flat, which makes it perfect for growing food. It also makes it perfect for those terrible storms called tornadoes. So this is called Tornado Alley, but it goes by a different name when we're talking about food. Do you remember? See, when we're talking about food, we call this area America's breadbasket. It's called America's breadbasket, and here's why. A quarter of all the world's food comes from this area. Not just in America, but the whole world. A quarter, that's 25% of all the world's food comes from this area. So if you think about all the apples in the world, 1 out of every 4 comes just from this stretch of our country called America's breadbasket. So let's look at some states, some farming states up in here. All right, you've got North Dakota and South Dakota. You've got Kansas. You've got Iowa, Nebraska. It's hard to. Can you see? Okay, you've got Oklahoma. You've got Texas. All right, you've got big parts of Missouri. Sorry, here's Iowa. I think it's IW or IA, I can't remember. Maybe it's IO, but you get the point. You've got Kansas. So the point that I'm trying to make is that this whole section, Montana, is very, very, very rural, very flat. A lot of our food comes from here, and it comes across and delivered to where we live right here in Mercer. Woo! Okay, so my question, what crop do you think would we farm the most here in the United States? What do you think? Uh-huh, corn. We also farm a lot of these. They're called soybeans. What else do we farm a lot of? Mm-hmm. This is called wheat, and you can grind it up and make flour. We also farm a lot of cotton here in the United States, used in our clothing. So this is a picture of America Freedom breadbasket. So these are the four major crops that we farm here in the United States. Okay, so the number one biggest crop by a long shot is corn. And you wouldn't believe the amount of things corn is in. Corn is literally everywhere. If you walked into a grocery store, things that you would never expect to have corn in them do. So we're gonna stop right here. I'm gonna show you a few things that corn has in it, and then we'll pick up here tomorrow, okay? So take a look at all the things that have corn. These are just a few examples, by the way. Crazy, right? Who would have thought corn would be in your orange juice? Corn would be in ketchup? What about medicine? Do you see down here? Corn is in medicine? Peanut butter? I thought peanuts were in peanut butter. Coca-Cola? Well, corn, believe it or not, can be converted into all kinds of different foods and different products that we use, not just for eating, but other things as well. So we'll pick up there tomorrow. Um, I thought it would be a good time to switch things up and look at some food. Maybe I was just really hungry, boys and girls. No, that wasn't it. It's actually because I just heard in the news that farmers are having a really tough time right now. It makes sense, right? There's a lot of restaurants and stuff that are closed, so they're not buying a lot of food. Think about all the vegetables that you use in a restaurant, right, for your meals. Well, if restaurants aren't open, they're not going to be buying fruit and vegetables from farmers. And whenever they're not buying food from farmers, farmers are not making enough money to be able to provide food for grocery stores at the cost that they were. So the cost of things like, for instance, apples might go up quite a bit in the grocery store. And it's not a good time for prices to go up because right now people have less money than ever because a lot of people are laid off right now. So anyway, it just got me thinking, how can I teach my third graders how important it is, how important farming is? And I thought this would be a good way to do it. So anyway, I hope that you had fun. I hope that you learned a little bit. I hope that you take those lessons from about Icarus and the Prodigal Son to heart. You think about it a little bit, maybe even share with your mom, dad, brother, or sister. And most importantly, I hope that you have a great rest of your day. I love you, and I hope that you all get perfects on your Google form. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace out.